Good afternoon, family. Thanks for checking out today's video. If you are new here, my name is Jonathan, and I created this channel as a way to record my progress as I work towards my goal of losing 300 pounds in 3 years. If you'd like to join the family, hit that subscribe button. Also, make sure you click on the bell icon so you get notified or when I post new videos or when I go live. If you'd like to participate on the discussion, you can join me most weekdays on my live streams, or outside of my live stream, you can consider joining the Discord that I've created. There's a link for that down in the description below. Also, a lot of times we get asked what kind of meals we're eating or what foods we're having to help with our weight loss. So to address those questions, we created a Pinterest board that has a link to a lot of our favorite whole food plant-based meals. If anybody has any non-scale victories they'd like to share, I'd love to hear your non-scale victories. On-scale victories are great too. If you are struggling to get started on your diet, what's keeping you from getting started? If you're struggling to stay on track, what's causing you to get off track? And what, I feel like a big part of it is what are you going to do to make staying on your diet easier than the alternative, which is giving into the temptation or not getting started at all in some cases. So we're going to go ahead and get switched over to the main here. I hope everybody had a great evening yesterday, a great day today. Carrie's checking in saying hi. Rick and Aunt Day's Kitchen both checking in saying hi. I hope you guys all had a great day and are doing wonderful. I had a really good evening. Weather's been just beautiful around here the last couple days. We are supposed to be getting a lot of heat next weekend, which is unfortunate because that is when I'm going to be outside for the whole week. Yesterday after stream, I was going home, and I will see if this is working, but I could no longer resist the temptation. I've been driving by the stand at the corner for the last few days, and they've had their sweet corn out. So I decided yesterday to finally stop and pick up some sweet corn. Rick is asking, what state do I live in? State of confusion. No, we live in Iowa, so we're in the Midwest. And see why this isn't updated with today's. This is yesterday's. That would be why. That's way behind. Sorry, folks. I'm just trying to see why I can't find that. So yeah, we're in Iowa here. So I was going home, and I saw that they had. I don't know why that's not working. Everything else is working though, right? All the stream and audio and everything seems to be fine. There we go. I think if I click that, it'll do what I want. All right. So, yes. So they had a standout. Rick says where the corn is as high as elephant's eyes. Yes, it's getting that way, popping up very quickly. Let me see if I click this button. That's going to do the same thing as the previous button did. That's the button I'm looking for. Sweet button. Okay. So yes, picked up, they were selling a dozen ears of corn for $7.50. So I picked up a dozen ears of corn and had it last night. And it was by far the best corn I've had all year. Just so fresh, really sweet, amazing. all of the wonderful attributes that you could give an ear of corn. The corn that we got yesterday had all of it. Just really great, great overall. It's nice to get it so fresh. I don't think that this photo will show it. You can't really see it in the photo. Like at the very top there, you can see like this little leaf sticking out between a couple kernels that there was like they were like green, like that. I was telling Carrie, I thought it was funny is that it's probably on other ears of corn, like these little sprouts that are coming out the top, but since it's not as fresh, all of the greenness has gone away. And so this was great for this was a great snack to have before dinner last night. Pretty Girl's mom says that's Oklahoma where the corn is as high as an elephant eye. And Carrie saying the corn was so good. It was so good. The other fresh food that we had yesterday at the house that hopefully there's still a little bit left is Carrie went with the kids yesterday and they picked blueberries. So we got a box of blueberries at the house that I was snacking on those yesterday evening as well. And it's really nice to have these like super fresh fruits. You know, the apples and bananas and oranges are great, but these are just, you know, as fresh as can be, the blueberries and the corn itself. Colleen says you finally made some corn in your Instapot. It was truly amazing. Yeah, we haven't messed too much with corn in the Instapot once we found out that we could microwave the corn. That's kind of what we do, because we just throw it the whole ear with the husk in the microwave and cook it for 5 or 6 minutes and it comes out really good. So that's how we've been doing our corn recently. And then Christy says that they love fresh corn in their salads as well. So yeah, it was kind of funny. So I had all this corn. I didn't take a photo of it, but we had some leftover Mega Veggie chili and I ate that yesterday. Actually, I have a photo from the day before. And as I'm eating the Mega Veggie chili, there is so much corn in the Mega Veggie chili. And then I had 2 ears of corn before dinner. And then for dinner, Carrie made something different. It was something that she had seen a video or a suggestion that you could take tofu and you could cook it in the waffle iron. So last night, Carrie made some tofu pizzas. So she took the block of tofu, put it in the waffle iron and cooked it till it got pretty crispy, and then took some marinara sauce, put it on top of that, added some onions, broccoli, and mushrooms as toppings for the pizza itself. I liked it. Carrie was not a huge fan of it. The tofu had a bit of an odd texture, and the different pieces kind of had a different texture to me, as far as I think it was just the amount of doneness between the two. So it was a bit like while we were eating it, I kind of had said that it had a crunch like when you first bit into it, but then it got kind of chewy, like you were chewing on kind of something a little rubbery. But then after you chewed it for a while, it kind of dissolved or kind of broke up pretty decently. So I ate a good amount of it. The marinara sauce that's on there is sweetened with dates, and I think that you probably could have put that on just about anything, and the marinara would have taken over the overall. And they would have taken away any bad flavors. So the marinara sauce was really good, and in fact, I took some of that marinara sauce and I threw it on. Here's another picture of the the slice of pizza that I had. And then I took a potato and I put some marinara sauce on the potato and mixed it up and just kind of had a sweet marinara potato, I guess. And that was most of the food yesterday. It was the tofu pizza, like for volume itself, it wasn't a lot of volume of food. And so that's why I ended up eating the mega veggie chili and then that additional potato just to kind of give myself more volume of food. Ate a few oranges and probably had a banana throughout the evening. Then this morning, I ended up having to get out of the house kind of earlier. And so I didn't really have like a big breakfast, I guess. So I grabbed 2 bananas and 3 oranges. And so that was my breakfast today, was 2 bananas and 3 oranges. And I feel good. I don't feel overly hungry because I didn't eat as big a breakfast as normal. And overall, I'm feeling pretty good. You know, yesterday having that 5-pound loss for the week was awesome. Came in today after eating last night and having that small breakfast, and I'm pretty much the same weight as I was yesterday, which is really nice because a lot of times the day after I weigh in, I seem to put a pound or 2 back on just because I eat a lot that Wednesday night, and I didn't really overdo it yesterday or this morning. Colleen says that it's been over 110 daily here, so your appetite has been wacky. Trying to up your fruit because it's so dang satisfying in the heat. Yes, it's really nice to eat some of that fruit, and I just, it felt fresh, you know, eating that fruit this morning and skipping the oatmeal. I felt good. So, but overall, I have increased my fruit intake. I talked about it a little bit yesterday. I think, you know, grabbing the 2 bananas this morning and having them, is kind of something, you know, I usually don't ever grab 2 bananas. I usually have a banana. And so, but I have been listening to different people and following different people that eat kind of a like that raw till 4 kind of diet, and or people that have banana smoothies in the morning, and a lot of times they have like 5 bananas in their smoothie or as many as 10 bananas in a smoothie for breakfast, and it just seems like a crazy amount of banana. But most of those people seem to lose weight or live a fairly skinny overall. So I'm not scared to eat more bananas. It's just not anything that's been a thing, you know, like I never would have sat down. I never would have thought to sit down and just eat 4 or 5 bananas. It's always been like 1 banana is a whole a meal or a whole snack. So it's been a little different. Colleen says that strawberries are her favorite right now. Also grapes and cantaloupe, all cold in the fridge. Yes. I actually have not had it in a while. I'm trying to think of what the pineapple. Okay. So I've been putting pineapple in my shredded wheat when I have shredded wheat the last week. And when we first open the can of pineapple, it comes out of the cupboard, but then we take the leftovers, we put them in a container, we throw them in the fridge. And that cold pineapple, I feel like is so much more satisfying than warm pineapple. But I also had the same thing last year when I was eating kind of more during the day. I would bring a bag of oranges to work and I would put the oranges in the fridge. And I really like having an orange out of the fridge. But at home, we just never got into that habit. So all of our oranges are in our little hangy thing in our pantry. And so I end up having room temperature oranges, but having the cold oranges, I really am a big fan of that. And then I noticed the difference with the pineapple, so I can see what you're talking about with the grapes and the cantaloupe and the strawberries, having them come out of the fridge. Rick says that potatoes are his new banana. Yes, just eating potatoes up, getting the starches in. Aunt Day's Kitchen says they like their watermelon cold in the fridge, but your cantaloupe at room temperature, you think it just has a better flavor that way. Yeah. Whatever you have to do to eat it, to make it more exciting to eat it, you do it. So if you have to refrigerate it. If it's room temperature, it's room temperature. Just whatever you have to do to eat, to get yourself to eat it. I've always been kind of somebody like, I like cold food and I like hot food. You know, I'm not much of a room temperature thing. I know it drives Carrie nuts. Sometimes she makes like this chickpea salad that is just room temperature, and I just prefer foods either warmed up or cold, or like not. So the example I was thinking about here was the Mega Veggie chili yesterday, that we had leftovers of Mega Veggie chili that I pulled it out, split it into 2 bowls so me and Carrie could split the leftovers. And I was heating up my portion of it. There was some of the food on the spoon, and I ate the Mega Veggie chili cold off of the spoon. And I made a comment to Carrie about how it tasted really good. Like, I was like, I could probably eat this cold. I wouldn't normally, and if I have the ability to heat it up, I will. But I've just never been the type of person, like, I'm not a big fan of cold pizza or cold chicken, like that type of stuff. And so I just thought it was interesting that I kind of liked the Mega Veggie chili with it being cold. Christy says that they struggle with room temperature potatoes. Yeah, I like a warm potato. I don't mind a cold one either. Like it makes it tough. Like when we travel, they're kind of an awkward temperature. I know what you're kind of saying there. And then Rick says that he loves cold chili. Okay. Yeah, I could see that. And that kind of, that Mega Veggie chili is kind of like a cold chili that we had. And then cold potatoes for you. I'm getting better with the cold potatoes or the room temperature potatoes. I definitely like a nice warm potato. It just, it's so familiar, like that's really, something that is difficult with any diet change, is that you're so used to what is familiar to you or what has worked for you in the past. And so, trying anything new seems to be difficult, or it gives, because you have a preconceived notion of what's going to happen or what it's going to taste like. But if I've learned anything with this diet, is to throw out all of those preconceived notions. I love rice now. I love cucumber. I love broccoli, all foods that in the past I would have absolutely thrown across the table to get away from me. Now I'm reaching for it when I'm hungry. So yeah, that's so today I had some meetings. Dorothy says 4 or 5 bananas is the best lunch. I should try to binge on bananas sometimes, because it probably would be good to just eat like a whole, whatever. I don't even know what they call a grouping of bananas, what that would be called, but eat like a whole bunch of them. It's just not anything, like I said, it's always been just have a banana. It's never been, hey, go grab 5 bananas, so, but I'm learning, I'm figuring things out. Speaking of learning, I downloaded a new book. I'm not sure what the user's name was yesterday. It might have been K, if I'm thinking right, but they had recommended, the Neil Barnard's book, Your Body in Balance. They just I was talking about thyroid issues, and they mentioned that his book discusses some stuff about thyroid. And so I hopped on Audible. I saw that it was available on audiobook, and I had a credit. And so I downloaded Your Body in Balance by Dr. Neil Barnard, and I started that yesterday. I'm almost done with chapter 2, so just probably about an hour into it. It looks like the first 2 chapters are very kind of women focused, not totally women focused. The first chapter is about food and fertility. He talks about both the men's side and the women's side, but kind of heavily towards the women's side. And then the chapter 2 is about curing cramps and premenstrual syndrome. So it's a lot about reproductive stuff. And I think that some of that might be because he seems to have a lot of focus about hormones, and our reproductive system is influenced heavily by hormones. And so I am looking forward to listening to the book. Like I said, I'm only about an hour into the book. It's a 7 or 8 hours. Yeah, I got about 7. I got 6.5 hours left, so it's a 7.5 hour long book. And then he talks about cancer. He talks about PCOS. He talks about ED. He talks about diabetes. Chapter 9 is the one that I'm kind of interested in listening to, and that's about a healthy thyroid, and then healthy skin and foods that foods that you can eat, the healthy diet, stuff like that. So I am looking forward to the book, or the rest of the book. I've liked everything so far. It's definitely a lot of kind of scientific stuff, or a lot about overall food. And it's really not like the test subjects, or the people from the studies that he kind of shares their stories. It's nice to hear. It's frustrating too, because we struggled years ago with getting pregnant with our oldest child. Now we have 4 kids, so it hasn't been a problem since then. But he has a couple examples in the book where I think that these women were kind of fighting the same battles that Carrie was fighting, or we were fighting, to get pregnant. And they found such relief in diet. And he talks about just how quickly the effect is too. Like the effect of getting rid of dairy and cheese out of these people's diets, and how quickly their cycles went back to normal, or how quickly their sperm and all the other reproductive functions, improved very quickly after making these diet changes. But the doctors don't push the food. They don't push trying the diet. So many times I've seen examples where the doctors don't push diet. What was I saying? They go to the medical intervention, and I think there's a bunch of different explanations for it. There's a lot of times doctors don't have confidence that patients are actually going to change their diet, even if they say they want to change their diet. Some of that might be projecting, or it might be as a result of actual experience, where they've had 20 patients come in and say, yeah, I'll change my diet. And 18 of those patients, or all 20 of those patients, maybe change their diet for a week or two, but then don't make long lasting changes to their diet. And so then they ended up just sending those people down the medical route anyways, with prescriptions or having surgeries. And then they get to a point where they're like, well, I keep suggesting diet. Nobody actually fixes their diet. So I'm going to stop suggesting diet and go right to having them take this pill or having this surgery done. And it's tough too, because there's examples he gives, and there's countless examples, and there's probably a few people that watch this too that have done it, but you make the changes and, well, Stand in Hope. I haven't seen her in the chat for a while, but she was kind of somebody that had this same experience where they made the changes that needed to be made to get them to feel better. And they stuck with those changes for a long time. They got into a better position, or they got to, if it's somebody who's trying to get pregnant and they make these diet changes, those diet changes causes them to get pregnant and have a baby. And then they start finding little excuses to let the old crap back in. It might be, at first you would cut oil out and then you start adding oil back in because some reason, or if you can't avoid it, like I had to have something that had dairy in it because there was no other food options at this event, and I just let it happen. And then eventually you let the old diet habits creep back in, and it maybe you can catch yourself and get back on track. But a lot of times I think that you have to end up getting back to that crippling position you were in, or have that catastrophic event kind of resurface to scare you back into eating the way that you knew was the right way to eat, because you already were a success story, but you can be a success story and then have catastrophic failure after that point, and I've done that with other diets. My previous doctor that I was taking the phentermine with, he would have held me up as a success story. And I'm sure that for months or even years after I went and saw him, he was bragging to patients that he had somebody that lost 150 pounds in 9 months. And that, he used that as a pitch to get people to do his program. But what he doesn't tell people is that the second I quit taking that medication, I gained back 150 pounds the next year. And so it's something with this diet, though, that it's really incredible how quickly you can start to see some positive effects when you get rid of the animal products out of your diet and start eating a whole food plant-based diet. So started listening to that book. Hopefully shouldn't take me too long to get through the whole thing. And I got that big trip coming up at the end of the month here, so I'm sure I'll find an opportunity to finish that book within the next week or two. I don't know how much I'll be doing streaming, excuse me, because I'm going to be busy next week. And right now, I'm still planning on not being live tomorrow, but I think I'll be back live Monday. But so this will be kind of my last stream this week until next week. The other thing that I was going to talk about and see if you guys had any feedback on was what's your 60-second like whole food plant-based diet pitch? So I was at a meeting today with some people, and we got talking about something, and I had just brought up the fact where I was like, well, I've lost a lot of weight in the past couple years. And the conversation was winding down, and I don't know how much I've seen. One of the three guys I've seen a few times over the past 5 years, but it's a business relationship that it's mostly been over the phone. And so I don't know if he saw me much at my heaviest, because I would have started talking to him like 6 years ago. So yeah, I would have been heavier than I am now, probably when I first met him, but I don't know if he would have seen me at my heaviest. And now I've lost the weight. So I've lost some weight. So I'm down, to 300 pounds. And I just made a comment about how I had lost a lot of weight. And later on in the conversation, like towards the end of everything we were doing with the meetings, the one guy just kind of said to me, he was like, so you mentioned you lost some weight, what are you doing to lose the weight? And it's a tough question. It's not a tough question, but it's hard to know what to throw at them, because well, for one, I don't really talk a whole lot about the fasting. So I wasn't going to really go on about the fasting, even though I did lose a good amount of weight with the fasting. I believe that I've kept the weight off and I've continued to lose weight because of the plants. And so, Rick says that plant foods will pave the way to better health. Yes, they do. So I got three guys. One's an overweight older gentleman. Another one's probably similar to my age, a little bit older and not in too bad a shape. And then the other was a younger kid that was a little, not overweight, but he wasn't like a gym rat. These guys are all kind of bank guys. And so I'm kind of in this weird position. So they're asking me what I did to lose weight. And I want to not come off too overbearing, but also kind of be like, you should try this plant-based diet because there's something to it. And so they asked me, and so I just kind of was like, I switched to a plant-based diet, and I've, eliminated all animal products, and I've seen really awesome benefits from it. And like, I felt like the 60-second pitch that I used, I guess, would be to get them to even think about considering eating a plant-based diet. I went kind of right into the volume eating kind of spiel that I've done on here before, but essentially I was like, from what I can tell and what the studies are showing is that we generally, as a person, you'll eat between 3 to 5 pounds of food a day. And it doesn't really, to your body, it doesn't matter what those 3 to 5 pounds consist of, as long as you're bringing in 3 to 5 pounds of food. And when you eat a plant-based diet, you bring the calorie density of your food down. So if you ate 3 to 5 pounds of food that had a calorie density of 500 calories per pound, you're going to be eating between 1,500 and 2,500 calories, which is generally what is recommended by most diet programs out there, to have a 2,000, 2,200 calorie diet. And then on the flip of it, though, is that if you eat 3 to 5 pounds of food, but they have a calorie density of 1,000 calories to 1,500 calories, then you're going to be eating between 3,000 calories and as high as 7,500 calories with that math. And you're going to absolutely be eating at a calorie surplus. And so that was my pitch for plant-based dieting, was volume eating, calorie density. I'm not sure if that resonated with any of them, but maybe it did. I had a friend of mine, or I had another contact that I was talking to a few months back about my diet and the weight that I've lost. Shy's checking in saying, hey, Shy, I hope you're having a great day. And so we were talking some business stuff. We had a meeting, talked a little bit about my diet in that meeting. He was very attentive, I guess, or he was very into what I was talking about, or he seemed to be interested in what I was talking about. Fast forward a few weeks, couple months later, and we're having a phone conversation and we're talking about our business stuff. And then towards the end of the phone conversation, he kind of brought up food, and I just kind of said to him, was like, well, if you really, if you're serious about wanting to do something, hit me up and I'll talk, and I'll work with your food on, if it's something you're interested in doing. Cause I know he's paid for the trainers and he's done all kinds of things. And, and he'd like to be healthier. So, so those little seeds I planted a couple months ago are still kind of growing into something in his mind, which I think is great. If I could influence somebody to try it out and them have positive benefits from it, that would be wonderful. Shy says 303, you're going to be under 300 soon. Yes, I am going to be under 300 soon. It's taken everything in me not to just, fast my way to under 300 pounds. But every time I do that, I end up gaining a few pounds back and then being stuck at that point. So this next week, I'm really hoping to get real close to 300. The week that I'm going to be out of town, last year I left on a Friday at 325 pounds. I came back a week later at 310. So I lost 15 pounds last year doing that week-long trip. And I anticipate losing a few pounds again this year too. So I'm really hoping to just crush through this 300 here in the next 2 weeks and to never see it ever again. Like, just so ready to never be over 300 pounds again. It really is something that's been, it's been on my mind since I was 18 years old, when I can remember having that thought that I would never let myself get over 300 pounds. If as soon as I get to 300 pounds, I'll go out, I'll start running, I'll start working out. This is 17 or 18-year-old me trying to, figure things out. And then within 6 months of turning 18, I was well over 300 pounds. And then I've touched that number a little bit in the past 20 years, but nothing sustainable or nothing sustained. So I'm happy to be getting under it and to be doing it at a good pace and to be confidently under it and stay there. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's been a long time coming. So, I think that's going to be it for me today. Like I said, I will not be on tomorrow, unfortunately, unless something changes. But tomorrow I won't be on. I will be back on Monday. So you guys all have a great weekend. And I will talk to you on Monday. If you guys haven't subscribed to the channel, get subscribed to the channel. Click on the bell icon so you get alerted when I go live or post videos, and hit that thumbs up on the video as well. If you have not started your diet yet, get started right now. There is nothing coming up. Nothing that's more important than your health and your overall well-being. Nobody ever gets to their goals, looks back and wishes they would have waited. And everybody wishes they would have started sooner. Don't fall for the two myths of moderation, the myth of moderate change, the idea that, or the myth that you can slowly change from a junk food diet to some healthy utopian diet and do it slowly, like, well, this week I'm going to eliminate this food, and then next week I'm going to eliminate this food, and then the following week I'll get rid of this, or I'll add this in. Then it just drags out the process. If your goal is to switch to a new diet, then make the switch and just make the choice to switch one time and stick with that decision. When you do it slowly, you have to continually fight the temptations. You change deadlines, you change dates that you're going to do things, and it doesn't foster a great result. And then the other is the myth of moderate consumption. The idea that if we can eat whatever we want, as long as we only eat a little bit of it, just eat it in moderation. You can have cookies as long as you only eat them once a week, or you can have one cookie a day. Oh man. Or the idea that you can eat less of this junk food and get healthy. I'm going to go out to the restaurant, and instead of eating the whole portion that they give me, I'm just going to eat half of that portion. Your body will allow you to do these things for a little bit of time, but in the long run, it's going to want to eat that volume of food. It's going to keep fighting you until you give into it. And then when you give into it, you're going to feel amazing because you've been depriving yourself for so long. And then it becomes even tougher to get back on track. So, Rick says, cookies don't come one to a package. That's right. And Gene says, so happy for you taking care of yourself and your family. Love your 60-second pitch. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it really, I think you might have to tailor that 60-second pitch to the crowd. Like I could have just as easily, the amount of time I spent on calorie density. Like I said, I was talking to kind of bank guys. So I figured that the numbers is what's going to, get them excited, start playing with numbers and calories and stuff like that. But I could have done just as long a pitch about switching to this diet for the animals or for the environment, but I'm not a hardcore enough vegan, I guess, to be sitting there trying to push veganism on people. But there's other angles you could take too. Heart disease, things like that. I mean, I saw benefits. I wish, in hindsight, if I ever would have been diagnosed with diabetes or pre-diabetes, and then to be able to go now and say I don't have those things. Like I haven't seen any. I mean, other than my weight, there's nothing particular. But Gene says it was perfect. Yeah. So I am going to get out of here, guys. You all have a great weekend, and we will talk to you next week.